When I was in college, I got to meet an extraordinary woman. My dad, who's been an immigration lawyer his whole career, was able to secure a 6-month visitor visa for Carmela Rais. Carmela came from Lithuania, and she and her family had been denied the ability to emigrate from the former Soviet Union and go to Israel. They became Balei Tshuva and ardent Zionists, and they wanted to be in Israel, but Mother Russia would not let them go. And my father was able to arrange an amazing press conference when Mayor Chag, it's a long time ago, of blessed memory, was the mayor of New York City. And I want you to picture the scene, and this is something you can share at your Seder. That Carmela is sitting there with her 10-year-old son, Moshe, was wearing a big black velvet yarmulke. They became very religious in Russia, despite the fact that they weren't allowed to practice their religion. And Chag started asking questions to Moshe in front of a room filled with photographers and journalists. It was an amazing press conference my dad arranged for them. And Chag asked Moshe, he says, "Tell me, what is your name?" And the little boy says, "Moshe." And Chag says, "Do you have a Russian name?" And he says, "No, just Moshe." He says, "You know, my name is Edward, but I'm also Jewish. I also have a Hebrew name. It's Isaac." And Moshe answers, "No, my name is just Moshe." He says, "Well, what's your favorite subject to study in school?" And the little boy says, "Torah." And Chag, the mayor, says, "Torah? You study Torah in school?" No, says the little boy. "We're not allowed to study Torah in school. My father teaches me. It's my favorite subject." And Chag just keeps going with these questions back and forth, and all the photographers and the journalists are focused on this little boy. And then finally Chag says, "Coming back to your name, Moses was a great Jewish leader. How did you come to be named after Moses?" And then Carmela, his mother, chimed in and said, "Mr. Mayor, if I could answer that question on behalf of my son. When Vladimir, my husband, and I got married 13 years ago, we said that if God ever blessed us to have a son, we were going to name him Moshe, and he was going to take us out of this Egypt." And then I realized when I heard that story that Yetziat Mitzrayim and the Exodus from Egypt is not some story simply from thousands of years ago. It's a reoccurring story in Jewish history. At your Seder, make sure that you tell some modern day stories of exoduses, of unbelievable miracles that have befallen the Jewish people in every generation. Talk about Israel and her continued existence against all odds. The miracle of the Jewish people that we not only made it out of Egypt thousands of years ago, but we continue to make it out of every Egypt. And not only a national Egypt, but our own personal Egypt. What is enslaving you? What is keeping you constricted? Because the word Mitzrayim is from Meitzar, which means narrow. And we know that we all have our personal Egypts, and we should all be free. And my blessing to you on the eve of this Passover is that your Seder be relevant, and that your Seder be filled with stories of exoduses, beginning with the one from Egypt and continuing to Israel today, and that each and every one of us is blessed to be redeemed from our personal enslavement, whatever habit or vice that we've got in our lives. God should give us the strength to be freed from it, and that we should all experience a geula shlema, a complete redemption. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, a beautiful Passover.